This year we decided let's try something different visually without having met Scott at all. And then suddenly, Scott came onto our radar with this idea of you can do new things with film that you thought you hadn't done before. What we gave to Ion were very basic parameters. We need something that's 12 to 15 minutes long, that has a loosely Scandinavian theme to it, that can present an interesting visual in the middle of Act 1. Not all that long later, Scott Winters from Ion came back to us with The Snow Queen. So from the very first conversation of this is what we're interested in, what can you do, we very quickly progressed to this is a really well fleshed out idea that I think is going to be visually interesting.
Well, the RPO had the great pleasure of performing a concert with the Ion Concert Media technology. We knew that we wanted to do the Numberleys and the Fantastic Flying Books from the Moonbot studios. We also were looking for some additional materials to flesh out and expand this idea of animation for this concert. Using Scott and Ion Concert Media as a resource, Scott was able to help us out, specifically to find some suggestions for a repertoire that we were interested in playing that fit into our economic sort of size orchestra mold along the way, with the visual materials that ultimately worked out very well for the particular concert. So that source of not only having the technology available to us to make things run smoothly and not need any kinds of click track, but it also came into play for just finding the video materials that fit our audio needs.
Before we performed the piece, Sarah gave an introduction to the audience, essentially saying, when you see me conduct a film, you usually see a wire coming out of my ear, because that's the click track, which is helping keep it together. Well, today, for the first time, you're going to see no wire coming out of my ear, and we're going to try something new with syncing this film. And at least from my perspective of someone watching it and watching Sarah conduct it and the orchestra play it, there was this feeling of it was an orchestra playing a piece and a film that was happening at the same time, but also being controlled almost by what was another member of the orchestra. So instead of listening to a click in her ear, it was almost as if Sarah was just cueing someone else who was making the film happen at the same time. And it seemed seamless enough, I'd almost forgotten how coordinated it is.
It's very difficult to work with a click track, any conductor can tell you, because there's no way to anticipate when the next click is going to happen. And sometimes there are very abrupt transitions. There's no kind of, you don't have any kind of visual preparation, any kind of a sense of when these transitions are going to happen. So the technology that Ion Concert Media has is something that made the experience 180 degrees different and 180 degrees better.
So when I originally talked to Scott about the technology and began to learn about it and how we could not need the more elaborate click track methodology for this, but that the conductor could play the music in the way that he wanted to, it was important for us to see just how well this syncing worked without that click track. And we were very pleased. It was a great experience for us during the concert to realize that all of the connections that were needed on it were available through Scott's technology for us.
I had an opportunity not only to experience this technology from the podium, but to give it a try here at the control board, so to speak, just using this iPad. And I have to say that although I had a little bit of a learning curve, I think within 3 or 4 minutes I had a really good sense of how to make this work. And I am by no means any kind of computer expert, so it is clear to me that one of the great advantages of this is that you can have somebody in your organization, whether it's a percussionist or an assistant conductor, staff member for that matter, anybody who has a good musical sense can learn to use this technology within just a few minutes, I think.
Ion is finding ways to put film on a concert where it doesn't have to become the entire concert. It can just become a piece of the puzzle, which helps the entire experience become better for the audience.